The municipality of Dysart acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Boswell, and Georgina First Nations. And we thank those nations for their care and stewardship as they pass through our lands. Have a resolution then to adopt the agenda.
Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dysart et al. Held on May 27th, 2025 be approved as presented.
Okay, moved by Nancy, second by Paul. All in favor? Carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Being none. Adoption of the minutes.
Be it resolved that Council approves the following meeting minutes as circulated: regular meeting of Council, April 22nd, 2025, and public meeting, April 22nd, 2025.
Mover and seconder. Carm and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Mayor or deputy mayor's report. I just got one thing I thought was interesting. When I was going into the meat market Saturday, one of the lands from the landfill site was there with all this stuff that it beer cans and stuff, and he gave it to a charity. Makes you feel good about it. So nice gesture. Not often our employees do things that is visible like that. It was good. Okay, general delegations. Haley, I guess, is here for this one. And we have someone here in person. Good. Okay. Okay, Haley, well, fire away.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Ted Shore. I'm a director of the Haliburton Common Elements Corporation 4 up on Percy Lake. That was set up in 2012 when the Greif brothers sold the land and developed it. And I'm one of the directors of the board. It's at the very end of Johnson Bay Road, so it comes around. It's the west side of Percy Lake, and there's a turnaround at the end of the public road, and then the private road continues on to another turnaround at the beginning of the Haliburton Forest. There was a sign, private road, that was put up before we arrived. I'm one of the original owners. And the signs was in a bad place and has now fallen down, and we're looking to replace the sign with and apparently talking to Haley, it was actually in the planning staff. It was a requirement that just was not put into the original site plan agreement, but we're coming here we're planning to erect the sign. Reason for coming here today is that the turnaround is actually not the end of the municipal property. There's another 30 meters of perpendicular road right of way from the lake going up into, I guess, to Algonquin Park. And if we put the sign on the condo property, would be 150 feet away from the turnaround. One of the reasons for us requesting the sign right at the turnaround is for anyone that is not aware of the property, that they can turn around and go back at that point. That's where the plows turn around, and we take over with the plowing of the private road, maintaining of the private road. So the request today is to get, I think it's relief to allow us to put it on municipal property. It's probably, I'll keep it short, and then if there's any questions, I can answer.
You get a lot of visitors in there here.
You know, I've personally been in this area, Haliburton, as a cottager since I was 2, so well over 60 years now. And it was another dead end. What used to be a private road on Horseshoe Lake, the island there, which was handed over to the municipality ages ago. But we do, because people have been up there a long time on Percy Lake. And there's some use. It's also for us a liability issue because it was created by the Dysart as a condo. We have to carry our own insurance and maintain the road. And there's certain liability issues if we do not have a sign that's visible. So, it's not a ton of traffic, and it's less that as an issue is the liability issue and the potential for more. We have seen, there's one incident a couple of years ago of 3 ATVs, hunters, full gun rack, full stuff, driving and just looking from the road for deer and things like that. But it's fairly rare that that happens, but there has been some incidents which also, if we did want to act, if we didn't have a sign that's
Could-
visible, people could argue back that how did I know, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Makes sense.
um,
Comments, Barry?
Yeah, I don't see any, I know the property very, very well. We built the road. So, anyway,
so it's a well-built road, by the way.
it's- no, yeah. Anyway, I totally get where he's coming from, and
So
as
do I.
long as the sign is back where you guys are talking about putting it, it won't interfere with the plow trucks turning or anything like that, so I don't have an issue with it at all, so.
No, it makes perfect sense. Haley, any problem with approving it?
No, I reviewed it with planning and public works. Dave Coulter said that the location proposed shouldn't interfere with any plow activity, and from a bylaw perspective, it's just we received the application and I just can't approve it based off of it being on public property without council approval.
Okay, then we're good to go. Mallory, resolution?
Okay. Be it resolved that the request from the Haliburton Common Elements Condominium Corporation 4 for relief from section 4.1 of the sign bylaw is granted.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now we got Jeff and Rob and, okay. Severance proposal.
Yes, good morning, everyone. And this is for the severance proposal for Braum and Sherloff. The application seeks to amend the lot configuration associated with the recent consent application for file numbers H-30-24 and H-31-24, which received provisional approval from the County of Haliburton on August 12th, 2024. Subsequent to the issuance of the provisional consent, it was identified that a portion of the subject land, specifically within the boundaries of the proposed Lot 1, is owned by the municipality of Dysart et al. To address this, the proposed lot configuration has been revised to exclude the municipality's own land. The amendment ensures that the boundaries of Lot 1 and Lot 2 accurately reflect the existing land ownership and continue to meet the minimum lot area and frontage requirements in accordance with the applicable zoning bylaw. The revised configuration remains consistent with the recent zoning bylaw amendment, which has a condition, which was the condition of the provisional consent. Although there are no circulation requirements in the Planning Act for the pre-consultation of a severance application, the following have been received to date. The County of Haliburton have no concerns of principle with the revised layout, but do ask that the revised or the addendum to the EIS be peer reviewed. Public Works has noted that the entrance permits are required for the severed and retained portions of the properties, and the municipality will require a road widening of the subject properties, minimum of 33 meters from the center line of traveled road. The building department has commented that they've issued 4 building code orders on the retained parcel, instructed bylaw to review the 4 additional structures within the water setback. The building code orders are for an addition to the main dwelling, a mobile home with a deck, and meadow Kwanzaa hut and shed, all constructed without a permit. The structures within the water setback include a swimming pool, outdoor kitchen with roof, sauna, and woodshed. And fire department had no objection to the application, and staff recommend that council support the general principle of the proposed severance amendment as submitted, subject to the included conditions provided at the top of this report and comments received through the public review process. And the consultant is in attendance for council if there's any questions.
Well, they're going to meet the conditions we have, and the owner's happy with that? It may not be happy, but you're in agreement.
Yeah, they're aware of them. They've seen the report, and to date, there hasn't been any comments on the conditions that have been provided.
Okay, so we'll approve it subject to the conditions, right?
Correct.
Okay, resolution then now.
Sorry, Jeff has a comment.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. And just based on the comments provided by the building department, I don't notice a condition with regards to zoning compliance for those retained lands. So does council want to add a condition that those structures be brought into compliance, or at least that property be reviewed for compliance?
No. So that's just that's not any kind of a formal process, is it? It's not a lengthy thing to do.
Well, it depends how we word it. So as the chief building official said, there's an active work order on this property, but council could include a condition that the applicants submit a zoning application to the satisfaction of the municipality to ensure that the properties comply with the zoning bylaw.
That would be the simplest, I think. Comment?
Can you repeat that, Jeff?
Sorry. So yeah, in terms of the wording of the condition, it could say something to the effect that the applicant submit a zoning bylaw amendment application to the satisfaction of the municipality.
Hey, Jeff, what number 10, what would change on that then? Oh, okay, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and it appears number 10 is just as part of the requirements, they need to submit a site plan showing the building locations, which would help us identify these compliance issues. But council can use this as an opportunity to ensure that those compliance issues are brought into compliance.
So, Jeff, would that be added as a condition 11, and then 11 would be edited to say conditions 1 to 11?
And that's the recommendation, and subject to comments from Chris as well, but it's up to council whether they want to include that condition, and the agent may wish to comment on that as well.
Through the chair, my name is Aditya Srinivas. I'm a planner at EcoView Consulting, and I'm the agent on this application. I'm okay to add that condition, so we'll review that. We did not know that there were compliance issues on the retained lot, but we will take a look at that, and if needed, we will apply for a rezoning. Thank you.
Mallory?
Oh, I'm not muted. Okay. Yeah, so I can, I guess I should read it all. I wouldn't normally, but we've edited it. So I'm going to, 1 second. It's going to be a long one, so buckle up. And I want to make sure that I've done it right. Okay. So be it resolved that council support the general principle for file number D00-SV-2025-003 and D00-SV-2025-004 for the lands of Brum and Churloff, subject to the following conditions and comments received through the public review process. 1, a copy of the draft reference plan be submitted to the planning department of the municipality of Dysart for review and comment prior to the registration of the plan. 2, registered owner to pay any outstanding taxes. 3, registered owner to pay all administration fees owed to the municipality of Dysart. 4, prior to the issuance of a provisional consent, the municipality shall have the opportunity to review any peer-reviewed studies completed by the County of Haliburton as part of the public process. 5, subject to the applicant obtaining an entrance permit to the satisfaction of the municipality of Dysart That may also require construction details for the installation of a culvert necessary to maintain the flow of the watercourse. 6, registered owner to convey a portion of the lands to the municipality, minimum of 33 feet from the center line of the traveled road to the property line. 7, subject to the registered property owner entering into a severance agreement to the satisfaction of the municipality of Dysart et al. 8, the owner to demonstrate a site plan prepared by an OLS and to the satisfaction of the municipality of Dysart et al. That lot 1 has sufficient area for a building envelope to accommodate a dwelling, septic system, well, and driveway while maintaining the required setbacks. 9, subject to a parkland dedication fee of $1,000 per severed lot. 10, subject to section 17.5.3, a site development plan to address suitable building envelopes showing building locations, septic locations, well location, and suitable entrance location to the satisfaction of the municipality of Dysart et al. 11, the applicant to submit a zoning bylaw amendment application to the satisfaction of the municipality. And 12, prior to the endorsement of the deeds, the municipality is to provide a clearance letter to the Haliburton County Land Division Committee confirming that conditions 1 to 11 have been fulfilled. That's it.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Barham and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Yep.
Yes, thank you. So Roger Communications proposes to construct a 60-meter self-supported telecommunications tower on a property located off the Burley Road between Grace Lake and Clement Lake. As required by the protocol, Rogers has undertaken the public consultation process. A public meeting was held virtually and was attended by 4 members of the public as well as Councillor Donaldson. All comments received to date, including responses from the applicant, have been summarized in the report as well as attached to the report in their entirety. Mr. Elder, my apologies, who is the agent for this file, is in attendance and may wish to speak. But subject to any questions, staff seek direction from council how they wish to proceed.
Any questions from council for Mr. Elder?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Just from the information I got from the feedback, which I feel like maybe he had them as well. And it wasn't brought up at the meeting that the Harcourt Park Tower, that Grace Lake residents did not know about the Harcourt Tower going up, which is approximately 5 or 6 kilometers, but maybe he knows better. And then on the other side, the new bell tower in Wilberforce, and that Highlands East turned this tower down in 2023 at Clement Lake. And so this is just over the line into Dysart now, but in basically the same location area. And they turned it down. So I have several emails wondering why it has to be there, because there's so many towers close by.
So Mr. Elder would like to answer that.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Chair and Council, for taking the time today. The Harcourt Tower would have gone through the same process and would have gone through the same public consultation, etc. That this property did. That's a requirement with all of those. And that tower is designed that it would work in conjunction with this one as part of the EOR project. The bell tower was obviously looked at. Rogers would always look at a co-locate option. Unfortunately, it's just too far out of the zone to work within the system. And it was ruled out as not being feasible, but they always would look at those options first because of the cost savings to have to build their own tower. I mean, they don't just put up towers for the sake of putting up towers. It's for the need and put them into the areas. The previous tower that was closer to Wilberforce was turned down because it was inside a settlement area and not able to proceed by their choice. And that's what required us to then move the tower to this location. And it, again, it's part of the process is finding someone, a viable owner that's willing to consider it and to work within the greater system of other towers in the area.
So do you know the distance between the Bell Tower in Wilberforce and the Harcourt Park Tower that's going to be put up? So
I believe the distance from this tower is just over 7 kilometers, and that would probably make it almost about 10 to 11 kilometers from the Harcourt Tower.
okay, so I know that this is for 5G, and I know that in the city, the 5G towers are very close together, and that's the goal here. So maybe we need a different product to be able, because 12 kilometers or 10 to 12 kilometers for the Highlands East Tower that's on the Mumford Road, it reaches 10 to 12 kilometers. So maybe it's the product that is not suitable for the area.
It's just not the product, it's also terrain, etc. It's fairly varying terrain in the area and so forth, and hills and so forth do create blank areas and blocked areas. There's quite a study, and they would have reviewed quite a bit if it was feasible to go on the bell tower. They would have pursued it further, and that's before it would have even come to us as requiring to find an alternate location. And unfortunately, it's just too far south to work properly within the system that Rogers and Eorn's plan to make work for the area and in the system that's been created.
Okay, any other questions? We have this and everyone on every tower.
Murray, correct us if we're wrong, even if we were to turn it down, not saying we are, but they still can overstep us, right? Like they did in Algonquin Highlands. So why do they even bring this stuff to us if they're gonna
do it anyway?
They're gonna do it anyways. Why does it even come to us?
It's a process. They have to, I guess they've been laid out by the government.
It is the process laid out by the government, and yes, there are avenues for Rogers if they choose to apply back to ISED for approval for a tower under the federal regulations for placing towers.
This is one of the first people that I've had calls from in favor of it, which is very unusual. Usually the other way around. Any other comments? Okay, resolution, Howard.
Be it resolved that council concurs with the proposed 60-meter self-support telecommunication tower, site C2339, in part lot 34, concession 1 in the geographic township of Dudley. The existing vegetation buffer shall, to the extent possible, be maintained around the proposed tower. The tower access roads to be designed and screened with vegetation to minimize the visual impact of the tower by immediate neighbors. Lighting shall be the minimum required to meet safety standards, and shielding shall be installed to deflect the light from being directed toward the ground.
Move in second. Walt, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Move on to the fire department.
Thank you.
Dan, can you hear us okay?
I can now. I couldn't for a moment there. That's just come through.
Okay.
I'm sorry, were you ready for me? I
No.
got interrupted there.
We're ready.
All right, good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Thank you very much for having me. It's a really simple, basic report today, and nice to be able to provide that for you. Just starting with numbers, nice to see our numbers have gone up just a little bit from last year, which is normal to what's been happening over the last few years, unfortunately. So it's nice to be able to see that it's not increasing exponentially. I see the medical numbers have actually balanced out. It's very good to see that that actually is lowering potentially when everything else is increasing. And we're hopefully seeing that as a response to the new MPDS, which is the the paramedic services new dispatching system. Very simple. Other quick things to mention that if you'll see some activity around the hall here, we're working on our annual testing. Started yesterday afternoon with hose testing. We'll be having pump testing being done. All of our annual certifications and that sort of stuff happening over the next month here. We've got, of course, the summer. I've also started to work towards some of the fire master plan recommendations. Most of it's stuff that I can handle internally. Some of our procedures and interacting bylaws with the neighboring departments and our agreements and stuff like that we're working towards. And another quick note, I've just heard from our association that there's the potential that the new boat that we had requested your assistance in purchasing could be arriving as early as this week. So that's all I have for you. Is there anything that you were looking forward to me?
Any questions? All right, that's good, Dan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Resolution, Mallory.
Yeah, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the fire department report for April 2025.
Mover and second. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, Andrea's next. There she is. This is an annual request, I think.
Yes, it is. Sorry, I missed what you had said at first, so I'm thinking you were talking about the report. The Rotary Club has put in a request again, and you're right, it is an annual request. We've had it for the past 3 years with the Welcome Center washrooms. What I did this year, maybe instead of bringing this report back each year, if council decides to waive the fees, is to waive them for the remainder of your term of council, just to save the request coming forward again next year. I have outlined the costs if we were to do a flat fee per evening, or just charging the different types of fees. This is something, though, they start Rotary Music in the Park the last Tuesday in June, and run right through to the end of summer. So we're looking at a 10-week program of Rotary Music in the Park.
Sounds good. Resolution, Mallory.
Would council like to waive for the remainder of the term?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Be it resolved that council waives the Welcome Center washroom fees for the Halberton Rotary Club's Rotary Music in the Park for the remainder of this term of council.
Okay, move and seconder. Carm and Nancy, all in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Building and bylaw.
Good morning, council. We'll start with the 2025 April building permit activity report. April was a regular month. Building permit numbers were up, construction value was up. Major residential projects is still down, but we did have a couple of bigger projects which helped offset the construction value. Any questions with regards to that report?
You're down, it looks like on the year about 40%, Carl.
Yeah, for sure. The year started poorly, and but April started picking back up, and we are now in a busy state. So inspections are way up, and permit applications are way up. So those numbers should be improving come May.
Good. Okay. Any questions on Carl? Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council receive the April 2025 building permit activity report as information.
Second. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Sorry, Tammy, I didn't see it. Thanks, Barry. Okay.
Next report is appointment of Tyler Anderson for our seasonal septic inspector role. So he is our in-field officer doing most of the inspections in and around Harcourt Park.
Okay.
I'll read that if council's good with it. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-43, being a bylaw to appoint a building inspector, sewage systems under the Ontario Building Code Act for the municipality of Dysart et al. Sewage System Maintenance Inspection Program. This is for Tyler Anderson. Be read a first, second, and third time, pass, sign, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay. Moving second. Tammy and Carm, all in favor? Okay.
The next report is an appointment by law for Darcy Payne, our second seasonal septic inspector. She will be the in-office inspector helping out Jess for the season.
Okay.
I'll read that one. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-44, being a bylaw to appoint a building inspector for sewage systems under the Ontario Building Code Act for the municipality of Dysart et al. Sewage System Maintenance Inspection Program. This is for Darcy Payne. Be read a first, second, and third time, pass, sign, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Moving seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Haley, next bylaw update.
Good morning. Sorry, one second. I'm just having trouble hearing here. Turn up my volume. Start with the bylaw update report for May. So we're getting much more compliance on our short-term rental applications. Last month we sent out orders to 129 properties, and since then we have gained compliance with 64 of them. So there's about 50 outstanding. In terms of the Wigamog file is still on hold while we get legal consultation for navigating the MOECC or MECP requirements. Sorry, that's a typo. That's an old name for them. And everything else is pretty standard in terms of complaint numbers. We're about average, I would say. Any questions regarding the bylaw update?
So the Wigamog file is on hold until we hear from our lawyer whether we can proceed with any of the demolition.
Yes, we're sending the file over to the lawyer. It's taking me some time to consolidate it because it has been ongoing since 2019. And we've had about 7 officers have their hands in it. So it's taking me a bit to consolidate and write out a timeline for the lawyer so they don't have to go through 6 years of paperwork to get an idea of what's going on.
Okay. Well, we need to, I know it's hard to get lawyers to budge, but when you get the report to them, I think we need some answers fairly soon on this one.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I'm almost done with the consolidation there.
Oh, good. Thanks, Kelly. Resolution then? Oh, okay, Tammy's got a question.
I just have a question for you. You have under here complaints. I'm just trying to see in the blue, I think.
Sorry, where?
You said number of complaints.
Yep.
On the second. So we had 129 last month and 9 this month.
So the 129 is that's for that's total. Sorry, it was 119 for the short-term rental. So we did log all of the short-term rental properties that are in violation as complaints because we are treating them as a standard complaint to try and get compliance. So that number is going to be extremely elevated for that month. I don't think we've ever seen a number that high for complaints.
Okay, so that's not about, I know that on our website, you can specifically have a complaint on a short-term rental. So
Yes.
did those get tracked from the website?
Yes, those are also tracked. So we didn't in April, we didn't receive any public complaints. It was 119 that we basically we scanned the system, found all of the properties that had not applied for a short-term rental license, and we issued orders to all of them, and we've been in communication with the majority of them since then. So we wanted to include that so you guys know what we're doing, and why we've been a bit swamped lately, because we have been addressing over 100 STRs in the past month or two. In the
Can you, for the short-term rental complaint section on our website, can you track that separately? Like, so we know how many are
Yeah.
complaining from the website?
Yeah, so I'll create a new column essentially for basically, I guess, proactive enforcement on non-compliant STRs versus reactive based on complaints. The two from May were actual resident complaints, so those ones, I'll separate them in the coming months.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I think we got into another couple of subjects there. We got into that short-term rental, and it's coming later. Anyway, the resolution, Mallory?
Be it resolved, the council accepts the bylaw update report for May 2025 as information.
Tammy and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Move to the after one. Dymo Bus.
Yes, so we were contacted by the Haliburton bus lines requesting designated parking for the Dymo bus. There were a few locations thrown out there, but the biggest problem area for the Dymo bus pickup is in front of the community living building on Mountain Street. They're struggling to find safe parking to pick up and drop off residents. They are either pulling up on the side of the 118, and then there's people coming around the corner really quickly, which is dangerous, or they're pulling right up on the curb on the corner. So they had requested if it would be possible for designated parking for the bus in front of that building. They had offered 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday when it becomes Dymo bus parking only. I did bring this to Rob Camelon, who suggested no designated times, just fully no parking except for the Dymo bus. Yeah, there's also the one issue with that area. The other concern is that the length of the Dymo bus cannot physically fit in the area without encroaching on the required setbacks from the intersection and the driveway. We went out and measured the area, and the encroachment would be about 5 inches. So it wouldn't be 5 inches over the driveway, it'd be 5 inches into that 1 meter that they're supposed to park away from the driveway. And again, these pickup and drop offs are about 15 minutes in length. So it'd be about a 15-minute time period where that would be, that 5-inch encroachment would exist.
So where are they going to park then?
Pardon?
Where how they have parking then? They can get parking?
No, so what is happening is a lot of the parking in that area. So people park their cars, like there are staff at the building who park their cars right there. Then there's just other residents or people visiting area nearby who will park their cars there. So when the bus shows up, there's nowhere for it to go. So which is why they've requested that area be designated for them. But essentially, if it were to be designated as a Dymo bus parking space, then the cars that frequent that parking area would either need to find some other street parking on Mountain or park at the arena, or another location. It's approximately 2 cars can fit there right now, so it would be eliminating 2 spaces for cars to park.
Okay. Yep. Okay, I think everybody thinks that's okay. Okay.
So if council grants requests, then Haley will return with the amended parking bylaw. That's how it will be made official, right, Haley? Okay.
Yes, sorry.
So I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the request from Haliburton Bus Lines to designate parking for the Dymo bus is granted.
Mover second. Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carry. Thank you. Okay. Okay, now we did already address this partially, but any more to report on? We had a bit of a storm going on there last week. But
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring a more in-depth report regarding, there is a small update regarding numbers on our short-term rentals, but this is mostly regarding the map. Because we did have some response from the public regarding the map. So essentially, as we know that the map was a alternative for short-term rental operators to, as opposed to putting a large sign at the end of their driveway indicating that it's a short-term rental, that we would develop this map. This is in line with many other municipalities in Ontario and actually provides significantly less detail than some of the other municipalities. They will add first, last name, phone number, and email of the contacts for the short-term rentals along with the physical address. As I said, it's common practice. It helps residents stay informed of STRs in their neighborhood, helps us identify unlicensed STRs. One of those short-term rental complaints from May was from somebody saying, hey, my neighbor is an STR and I don't see them on the map. So that we've already had a STR be identified by this map. And then, yes, it simplifies the process for reporting concerns and allows potential guests to verify that their STR is licensed. The main concern that we received was for privacy concerns. In this aspect, the physical address is not considered private information according to the IPC, nor is the roll number. We did opt to remove the roll numbers from the map as that was the main point of contention. It doesn't help with enforcement anyway, but it does, removing the roll numbers has significantly increased staff time in updating the map. It makes it a bit more difficult. We also encourage any residents to contact the IPC with their concerns, just to hear it from another agency that this is an approved use. So that's generally the update regarding the map. If there's any other questions on that, and I can update on the status and the numbers.
Haley, just from my own dealings with it all, I think there was a lot more, I guess, a surprise from what I heard anyways, of the individuals putting together their STR licenses, of the wording of that information. And I think, and I might be wrong, you can correct me, but I think that it said in the application that it may be used for other, I don't know if it's other purposes or for the municipality or whatever, where I think in the future, that language becomes more clear. It will be posted on here or whatever on that note. Cause I think it was a bit of a, even though it was in the agreement, I think it's a bit of a surprise in the wording, and to me in the delivery of that to the general public would have been better to maybe put the positive reasons of why we're doing this instead of, hey, look at this is what we got. I'm not, it's a system we're all trying to get in place, and we all know where, you start it and you work the kinks out of it like many other ones that we do here. But anyways, it was done, as I've said, without malicious intent. But again, it's just putting a bit of a polish on it as we move along here, because it is a requirement. And all the other townships, a lot of townships outside of Haliburton do the same thing. So I often look at it like it's kind of like listing your house for sale. You got to give all that information, and it is what it is at the end of the day. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on it anyway.
Absolutely. No, so we are working, that is another background thing that we're working on, having that disclaimer added to the application page. It is written directly in the bylaw that rental information may be posted on the municipal website. And it is the understanding that when you apply for a license, you have read and understood the bylaw. I understand that that's maybe not a reality, but that's the expectation. But we will be adding that section. So right now there's a checkbox where you confirm that all the information you've provided is correct. So we're looking to either add to that checkbox or add a new one saying, I understand that my address will be posted on the municipal map. so that people are much more aware and that they have to actively agree to that.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, resolution, Mallory.
Haley, do you want to give your number update before I read the resolution just quickly?
Yes, so I have gotten a few questions about our numbers. So as of the date I wrote this report, which was a week ago, this has changed quite significantly. We're moving pretty quick, but at that time, 164 licenses had been approved. That includes 9 conditional licenses. There were 58 pending applications. The primary reasons for pending were issues under the Ontario Building Code or related to municipally owned shore road allowances. At the time, Host Compliance estimated 313 short-term rentals in Dysart. There were 91 where an application has not been received. Although 8 of those are exempt, 27 of them have been in contact with our department, so we are working towards getting an application through. And then there was another 27 that had not contacted, so they at this point have received 3 letters regarding getting an application. So upon receiving 3 letters and still no contact, those 27 properties have been issued a fee for failing to comply with the order. The remaining 29 properties, we've looked, there's a few duplicate ads that are inflating our numbers a little bit. And then there are a few properties that have been added, or new listings since we issued our orders.
I'll read the resolution if we're ready.
Right.
Okay. Be it resolved that council accepts the short-term rental update for May 2025 and the letter from Brian Stewart expressing concerns with the Dysart STR map as information.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Thank you, Haley. Public Works, Dave and Rob. There's Dave there.
Yes, good morning, council. I have my road maintenance status report for April 2025. It's pretty plain and not too long. So emergency washouts, various locations during April. We have them all rectified as of now. Brushing and tree removal. So there was a lot of fallen trees that required cleanup. Various locations again. Grading, so maintenance grading, various locations. We're currently ongoing with the grading operations. Dust layer, we did apply a dust layer in May, not in April. So that is up to date. And gravel resurfacing, so gravel resurfacing for any washouts needed. And our winter patrol ended April 15th, 2025.
Any questions for Dave? Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council receives this report outlining road maintenance activities for April 2025 as information.
Moved and seconded. Pat and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay, capital projects. That'd be Rob or?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of council. So this month's update is simply to advise that there are some tenders being advertised right now. One for winter sand screening at the Carroll Pit, of which there's a mandatory site meeting requirement later on this week. So anybody that wishes to bid, should pencil me in for that and meet us on site. The catch basin cleaning and CCTV inspection is out for tender as well. And either today or tomorrow, the double bridge replacement at the Redstone Brook will be advertised as well to see what the prices come in at.
Any discussion on that? Harry?
Rob, we talked to a fellow here, I think he was from Bracebridge, about the culverts, right?
Yes.
Anything back on any of that?
We did. He did an overlay. He talked to his side as well. The requirement needed at the Redstone Brook would be 5 10-foot CSPs. And he said, like, you're not going to get approval for that. There's dredging required of the riverbed, and you got to widen the river at the site as well.
Any other comments? Okay,
Be it resolved that, oh, are you ready for the resolution?
yeah.
Okay. Be it resolved that council receive this update on the 2025 capital projects as information.
Just to clarify, I think that extra request for culverts was because water came so high on the bridge. So they anticipate more water and the bigger storm. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain sites that culverts will work. Koshlong was one of them. This site just isn't one of those sites. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish we would have had another chat after we decided we were gonna go after the culvert idea. I struggle with the whole culvert problem where it has to be a bridge on that note. Like, I've been all over the province. We built roads everywhere. And I don't understand what the barriers are other than the price being about 4 times what it should be. But anyway, I'm not putting that on your shoulders, Rob, but I'd like to talk to that engineer some more. Because this is just the start of it. We got 20 more coming up. So if we can get some of those siphoned off to long-term concrete culverts, which they do in the city, and like I said, all over the province all the time, I think it's a necessity for this township to do that.
I do wonder if the minister has an issue with us going to a river and widening it and dredging it in order to put in culverts instead of a bridge, which our engineer recommends. I think that's part of the barrier as well, but I don't know. Rob, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's barriers every time you want to do a bridge replacement, for sure. I mean, there's consultation with Transport Canada, Fisheries and Oceans, and MNR. And in this case, with the excavation of the riverbed and widening the river, it's MNR is going to be the full stop.
Yeah, I don't know why I'd widen it instead of going taller or whatever. Again, anyhow, be great to have another meeting with our engineers, Rob, on that one. Anyway, my own 5 cents.
Okay.
Do you want me to reread the resolution?
So,
Okay. Be it resolved that council receive this update on the 2025 capital projects as information.
mover and seconder. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Epic Road.
Yes, thank you. So after April's meeting, I was asked to go out and take a look and throw some ballpark costing at Epic Road to bring it up to municipal standard. Again, this is very high level. This was myself driving around, looking through the windshield, and I came up with the cost around $200,000 for 100 meters of road.
Yeah, Rob and I went out and had a look at it too. I can't believe we took over Pine Point and the other road there. Like, I don't know whoever said we'd plow those roads. They're terrible.
They are terrible.
Terrible roads.
Well, coincidentally enough, when I was looking at the file on this, Pine Point was assumed in 1978, and we actually had a petition submitted in 1979 where they didn't want it brought up to standard. So, I mean, we knew full well what we were assuming back at the time, and obviously a lot more people are living up there now than there were in the 70s.
So that'll be up to the owners here to decide to bring it up to standard or not. Same as Mesquabi did. Yep. Okay.
That's correct.
Just for clarification, Rob, sorry to interrupt you. If the owners decide they want to bring it up to this standard at whatever, then we possibly would assume it?
Yeah, that's council's discretion. At the very least, it should be brought up to standard, but it should not be on the backs of taxpayers.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Resolution in Mallory.
Be it resolved that council receives this report on the cost to upgrade Epic Road to municipal standards as information.
Move in seconder. Barry and Walt, all in favor? Carry. Pedestrian crossing and park assessment, Highland Street.
Yeah, so this is another follow-up from April's meeting, kind of piggybacking on the assessment at the Royal Canadian Legion for a pedestrian crossover. At the time, I assumed $6,500 would be, a like for like cost at two different sites. In discussing the site a little bit further with the engineer, he suggested we expand the scope, which we'll take a look at the parking lot, that has the main boat launch. It has 77 municipal parking spots in it across from Hook, Line, and Sinker. It will also look at the Highland and York Street intersection for a traffic light warrant. So for a price of $9,800, I think it's money well spent for that area.
Yeah, Rob, that also agree. We looked at that sign issue there. That'll be included in that too, right?
That's right. Yeah. That'll be a very small part of it. I think that'll just be a kind of a yes, no. But yeah, it'll be included.
Okay, resolution then, Mallory.
Be it resolved that council approve the pedestrian crossing and parking assessment proposal from Assurza Engineers Limited for $9,800 plus applicable HST, and that the project be funded from the Road Capital Reserve Fund in the absence of an operational surplus.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Barry. All in favor? Barry. I know it's not on the agenda, but we left the little bridge over at Head Lake. We kind of left it in limbo after the last discussion. Is that going to come up again?
We're still waiting. We checked in with the ministry again because we have a grant application in on that, and we're waiting to hear. They've still said spring 2025, which isn't quite over. So that's a $500,000 application. So.
Okay.
Got $500,000 worth of grant money then, Tamara? Okay.
If we don't get the grant, then we need to look a little part of that bridge. Okay.
Can I also, something that isn't on the agenda? And if you want me to talk about it at a later time, I'm definitely would make a notice of motion later on, but the speeding thing on our roads like Wagamog Road, which has been brought to our attention, and many more. I'm just curious, how many of those flashing speeding sign do we have?
Two, I think.
Dave or Rob?
Yeah, we have 4 total.
4. And the cost of each one is roughly $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I would, because I don't think we're going to be putting in these, what's the name of them, where they take a picture of your license and send you a ticket, the photo camera. We had a great presentation at the county here last month, and needless to say, they're great for community safety zone areas. But I would like to see us, maybe do a little bit more. I know maybe it's not in the budget, but I'd like to see us get at least a couple more, or even double the amount of those flashing signs that we have. And because myself personally, I know they get my attention, but I'd like to see us put more of them out, and I'd like to see this happen before summer really starts. So. But I will make that notice of motion later on, but your opinion on that, Rob or Dave or council? I know it's not on the agenda, but.
So my suggestion or caution would be, is have some criteria on where they go. Otherwise, if it's complaint based, then it's complaint based. You'll get first come, first serve. If we get any other of those flashing signs, my recommendation would further be that they be permanent stations instead of the temporaries. Right now we have 4. The batteries need to be changed out every 2 weeks, which means we're paying somebody to scoot around every 2 weeks and change batteries and change locations, that kind of thing. So what we can do, I can look at some pricing for probably solar units. Hydro is going to be pretty expensive hookup, but if we do permanent stations, then they'll be there year round and we don't have to chase them.
Rob, would you like to, I can note this in the minutes under the roads report where Dave reported. Is it okay if you return with pricing so that we don't do another notice of motion at the end? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll do it that way.
Whenever you're ready, Mallory.
So I've read the resolution for the last one, so now we're just moving on to the European dune grass. And that's Ashley reporting on that.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's nice to meet you. I'm sorry, just. Okay, so local resident Ruth Treller brought to Dysart staff's attention their concerns regarding the European dune grass. She stated that it was spreading down Mountain Street towards Maple Avenue. Sorry. Ruth spoke with Haliburton County Conservation Officer James Rogers, who suggested the use of glyphosate to kill or control and kill the grass. Ruth had requested that the municipality control the grass or allow her to. Upon consultation with James Rogers, an inquiry was made to the Chief Weed Inspector of Ontario. It was decided that a sample would be sent to the University of Guelph for DNA testing. At this time, Dysart staff are waiting for confirmation if it is European dune grass and if it's harmful or invasive.
So I have a resolution, if council is okay with it, that we defer this pending identification, because if this isn't a harmful thing, there's of course implications to someone going out and spraying pesticide along the side of the road where people walk and everything. So it would be good to get a confirmation from our forest conservation officer whether this is invasive or harmful or something that needs to be dealt with, essentially. But it's up to council.
Should wait for the identification.
Yeah.
So just put it on hold.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I can read that resolution. So be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the correspondence from Ruth Treloar, local resident, expressing concern about European dune grass growing on Mountain Street, and further recommends that this item be deferred pending the identification of the grass species and recommendations from James Rogers, Forest Conservation Officer for the County of Haliburton.
Okay. Mover and seconder. Pat and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, Haley now again with the landfill transfer station redesign. Ashley, sorry.
That's okay. So I also wanted to follow up in regard to your meeting on December 10th that you had with John. Just to inform you that the JP2G consultants have moved forward with geotechnical work. They've done test pits on the Haliburton landfill site, as well as topographic surveys, and next our engineers will be coming in. After that work is completed, they'll have a better estimate of costs.
Okay. So that's, you think they're fairly close on this stuff?
Sorry?
You think they're just about, they've got just about all they need to price this?
They're getting closer. They stated that as once the engineers have done their work, they will be able to give us a cost estimate.
It'll take a long time, anyway. Okay. Mallory?
Okay. Be it resolved that council receive this report for informational purposes about the potential redesign of Haliburton landfill, and that council directs staff to proceed with developing a comprehensive budget with engineered construction plans for the capital enhancements of the Haliburton landfill based on the drawing by JP2G consultants presented to Dysart Council on December 10th, 2024.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, we'll move along to check summary. Is that you, Tamara, or Barb?
Good morning. So the first report here is the check summary for April 2025. Total disbursements were $1,436,803, comprised of accounts payable vendor payments of $1,124,270, and the balance is for payroll at $312,533.
Everybody's had a chance to look at that? Any other questions? Okay, resolution then.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the April 2025 check summary.
Mover and seconder, Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next, Barb.
Yes, so we have the 2024 municipal debt limits and schedule of debt. Keeping with Ontario Regulation 40302 and the municipality's annual repayment limit, based on the 2025 ARL, which is derived from our 2023 financial information return. The unadjusted ARL is $1,678,000. Since 2023, we've had some events take place. So we had purchased some property for roughly 1.4 million in debt, and we have since refinanced that through a loan. So the adjustment there on the annual payments would be 190,000, and then there would be debt expiring of 1,459,000. The adjusted balance as of January 1, 2025 is $2,947,000. So this means that we could take on additional debt payments, principal and interest of $2.9 million in 2025.
I don't think that's a wise move, but anyway.
Yeah, so continuing on, if you were to consider those borrowings at 5%, 10-year term, that would amount to $22.7 million. Or if you considered a term of 20 years at 5%, that would be $36.7 million. So currently, the municipality has utilized 6.5% of the available debt limit and is well within the annual repayment limit. Keeping with Ontario Regulation 65305, the treasurer is required to report annually on material capital lease financing agreements. And at December 31st of 2024, the municipality had no capital lease balances owing. And that concludes the report.
Any discussion on that? Okay, resolution, Mallory.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the 2024 municipal debt limits and schedule of debt report as information.
Mover and seconder, Barry and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, and next, Barbara.
Yeah, so we're looking at ERP replacement for our current Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains software. So the municipality is looking to migrate from our current system, being the Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains, to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central with Sylogist Gov. In September 2024, Microsoft announced the end of product support and updates for Microsoft Dynamics GP on December 31st of 2029. Migrations to a new supported ERP should occur as soon as possible. Over 60% of municipalities in Canada are using the Great Plains system. There will be hundreds of municipalities seeking migration with a limited number of experienced consultants to carry out such migrations. The municipality currently uses the Dynamics Great Plains software, which is a Microsoft product. Microsoft is recommending that clients move from Dynamics GP to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central platform, which is a software as a service cloud ERP system. Advantages of the migration include a seamless transfer of data from one Microsoft platform to another. Microsoft has built-in connectors that can migrate the data from Dynamics GP to Microsoft Business Central. Secondly, enhanced security. Data will be contained within Microsoft's Azure cloud environment, which has world-class cloud security protections and redundancy in place. 3, compatibility with existing systems and programs. The municipality has standardized on Microsoft products. Using the Microsoft Dynamic 365 Business Central solution ensures seamless integrations with programs such as Microsoft Office, Teams, and Copilot, which is the artificial intelligence tool. 4, recommended or reduced capital expenditures. Since the ERP system will be hosted in the cloud, there will no longer be a need to replace on-site servers. So the Microsoft recommended ERP system requires specific add-ons that are unique to Canada. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So these add-ons include property taxation, payroll, and municipal HST. SylogistGov is the recommended supplier for these add-ons. They specialize in municipal government and non-profit organizations. SylogistGov is a Canadian-owned company and trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange. They support customers worldwide with software customized for municipal and government services. SylogistGov is a partner-led organization whereby you must engage an authorized partner for implementation and support. Endeavor Solution Inc. is a licensed partner. Endeavor is currently supporting over 700 Dynamics Great Plains installations and has a proven track record spanning 36 years. Currently, the municipality uses Endeavor for Dynamics GP support services. Giving consideration to the municipality's procurement policy, Clause 10.05 states, single sourcing is the procurement of a good or service from a particular vendor rather than through solicitation of bids from other vendors. Where there is more than one source in the open market, but for reasons of standardization, function, or service, one vendor is recommended for consideration of the particular commodity, such as compatibility with existing product, facility, or service. And the vendor for function or service has skills related to and existing knowledge of the nature of the service. So through the due diligence of staff, we have identified that SylogistGov does meet that requirement along with Endeavor Solution as the implementation partner. As previously noted, the municipality is using Microsoft products for all IT systems. Microsoft and SylogistGov require customers to use authorized partners. So single sourcing with the authorized partner of Endeavor Solutions ensures the municipality has the technology in place to guarantee continued compatibility. Staff are recommending to procure with Endeavor Solutions to secure a time for the Dynamics Great Plains migration as soon as possible. As municipalities are planning to migrate from Dynamics GP before its end of life on December 31st, 2029, experienced consultants are in short supply. Securing migration services early ensures access to experienced consultants and a successful go-live date of January 1, 2027. Project implementation will take approximately 12 to 15 months. Preliminary estimated cost for the one-time implementation ranges from $320,000 to $350,000. A refundable deposit is required to reserve a 2027 migration time slot. Annual post-implementation costs for the Microsoft SylogistGov ERP solution supported by Endeavor Solutions is estimated to be approximately $47,000. Currently, Dynamics GP maintenance costs are $23,000, however, requires the investment of hardware infrastructure. So, for instance, approximately every 5 years, the server, being the hardware, needs to be replaced, and that's upwards of $50,000. Subject to Highlands East Council approval, the municipality is seeking implementation and joint training costs savings through collaborative measures with Highlands East. Currently, the working fund reserve balance at December 31st, 2024 is $1,456,000. Staff suggests that given this is a long-term investment for the municipality, the funds may be paid into the working fund reserve from the general operating budget over 10 years. In conclusion, migrating to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central with SylogistGov by January 1, 2027 is a responsible move for the municipality. It offers modern technology, better integration, advanced reporting, streamlined processes, and improves security. Additionally, it provides significant cost savings by eliminating the need for physical servers and reducing operational costs. So one other item I'd like to note is our current software is coming to the end of its useful life. By 2027, it will have reached 10 years. Moving now aligns with our risk profile and ensures a smoother transition. So I'd be happy to take any questions regarding the report.
I would just like to say that
We can't hear you, Murray. I don't know if your mic's off.
I say initially, I kind of like the county idea of us all going together because we'd be bidding for 4 or 5 and we get a better price. But that isn't necessarily true, I find out. And I also was concerned about the sole sourcing, but that's covered off. And I know another municipality just got a legal opinion on that, that is fine to do that if it meets all the criteria. So I'm open. This is the most important piece of software that we're going to buy. And if we got a good system to look after the finances, the municipality runs a lot better than it does if you're making errors. And so thanks, Pat.
So we're splitting this with Highlands East, is that
I
correct?
hope that they're going to go, sounds like they're going to go along with us. Yeah.
60-40 or something?
No, where it would split is we would be sharing in the training time and those kind of modules, so that all those kind of costs would be joined together. The actual contracts would be separate based on our needs and theirs, which are still different. Like
They
different
go with
processes
us and be ahead of the rest of the county.
Yeah, we'd be working together to implement, so we'd learn as we go together. And
Is the county looking at the same thing as well?
Yeah.
they're working on an RFP process. We've already gone through an RFI with them, request for information, and they'll be working on an RFP process. But it's not completely clear at this stage at what point they're moving ahead. When we started this, it was just Dysart and Highlands East ready to move at this particular time and be ready to implement for January 2027. But to Barbara's point, we've had this system for 10 years now. Some of the other townships have had the systems for a much shorter time, so they're trying to get their money's worth too, which is a valid point. Some of them aren't on the same system, so they don't have that same deadline either. So there are some differences, but staff, both Barbara and Danielle, have been working tireless on this and turned over every rock there is possible and met with other counties that have done this, both at the collaborative county level and individually, those who've sole sourced and haven't. And I'm 100% confident in this recommendation and would urge council to consider it.
Barb, did they indicate how long this software timeline is going to last for, this new system? Is it 20 years, 10 years?
Typically I would say 10 to 15 years. And being a Microsoft product, they're always investing in their product and upgrading.
Okay. So looking at almost 450 then to get started here. And then how much a year was it again? 47?
So just to clarify, we're looking at a cost of approximately $320,000 to $350,000 to implement the project. And so then thereafter, on an annual basis, the subscription costs for the licenses, and we're actually getting more value for the licenses. We're able to engage more staff with that. So that cost there is $47,000. And if you were to try and bring up that same complement with the current software we have today, that would actually exceed the $47,000, and you'd be looking at about $61,000 a year. So there is more value add with moving to the Microsoft 365 Business Central platform.
Okay, you mentioned we needed one server then, is that right? So 350 and it was 50 grand for a server, was that?
Actually, that cost will go away because this is a software as a service and it's housed in the cloud. So you no longer need that infrastructure.
All right, and it'll be more streamlined for yourself and other departments then to input and
Absolutely. Yes, it's very intuitive. And the fact that it is cloud-based, that you can essentially be anywhere with internet service and be able to access the system.
Sounds good.
From a public perspective too, it's going to enable more online tools for the public to be able to log into their own portals and be able to manage their tax accounts and things like that over time. So it's a lot that we can't do with our current systems now. Like we don't have email addresses, for example, for people. So if we wanted to get something out quickly, we rely on the snail mail, which people just see tax bill. I'm not opening that right now, and they don't necessarily get the correspondence. So there's definitely a public component to this in terms of improving customer service tremendously.
Yeah, and to Tamara's point, not only the citizen portal, for the citizen engagement, will be able to email out tax bills. It's a self-help portal. Citizens can hop on, change their address. So from an administrative standpoint, it's more intuitive. And also for our staff, there's going to be better information available for managers to help them with their day-to-day operations. And the nice thing is it's going to be real-time information. So anytime that they hop in and drill down on data, it's real time. It's not fixed at a point in time. Right now, we publish statements at the end of every month, and that remains static until we publish for the next month. So definitely better information and a better analytics tool as well for managers. They'll actually have their own dashboard that they can hop on and track KPIs as an example. So definitely assist us better in managers to carry out municipal operations.
Well, thanks for your time on it. Sounds like you've been doing your homework for sure. So sounds good.
Carmen, do you have a question?
I just want to know, do you think that Algonquin Highlands and Minden are going to follow suit? Or they're going to go on their own?
At this point, it's looking like they are wanting, we can't guarantee what the outcome of their RFP will be. It's looking like this is probably the only real option in terms of what works in terms of being a primary tax system. But the timing of it isn't going to line up with our timing. We know that at this point because they haven't issued an RFP yet. So
I know the CAO at the county was trying to move it up, but Algonquin Highlands just did a program 2 or 3 years ago. So they want to get their money out of it. And I understand that. That makes sense.
One other item for council to also consider is municipal government property taxation is specialized. Not everybody deals with that. And the current SylogistGov, they're very experienced in that. Their module is ready to go and accommodate property taxation. So definitely that is very important for the municipality, considering property taxation is our primary source of revenue.
Questions?
I think we're good for a resolution.
Okay. Be it resolved that the treasurer be authorized to place a deposit with Endeavor Solutions Incorporated for a 2027 migration from Microsoft Dynamics GP to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, which is, let me say, software as a service, cloud ERP, inclusive of SylogistGov recommended specific add-ons, and that the deposit and one-time implementation costs be funded from the working fund reserve, and that the estimated ERP costs be included in the 2026 and future years budgets, and that the requirement for competitive bid solicitations be waived as section 10.05 single source of the procurement policy applies.
Yeah, can I just ask a question? What's the deposit?
To get the project going for implementation, it's 25%.
Ooh. Okay.
Good down payment, is and I do know that if we're worried about county IT and working with the county, we've had that discussion with the CAO down there, and it's not going to change the relationship. It's just his thinking was be nice if we all did it together, and it would, but it doesn't sound like a couple of townships are ready to do it right now. And the counties is so much different than Dysart. They don't collect taxes. It's all accounts payable. Okay. So we're all ready to vote then, Mallory?
Yeah, I just need the mover and seconder.
Yeah. Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. This better work. That's all I can say. I won't be here to worry about it, but it's okay, administration. Who's doing that?
That'd be me. So I have three kind of administrative updates in a row. Strong mayor powers came into effect May 1st. I'll have a comprehensive report coming. We're going to get some training on it, and then I'd like to sit down, Tamara and I will sit down with you, Murray, and kind of discuss how it's going to look in Dysart. But in the meantime, I've edited a few of first of all, our procurement procedural bylaw needs to be amended. And then there's a couple of policies that need to be amended. And I've made the wording neutral, because even if a mayor at the time delegates a power, he can always take it back. So I always want to make sure that it says, if he chooses to, so-and-so, so I think all of council's aware of this, but effective May 1st, 2025, the provincial government extended strong mayor powers to all municipalities with councils of 6 members or more. So of course that includes Dysart, it also includes Minden, but the rest of our locals were left out. So it's been put in change to support provincial priorities in the way of new housing and infrastructure development to support that housing. So their goal to build 1.5 million new residential units by December 31st, 2031. I'm gonna have to close my Teams 1 second. There we go. So to give a really brief summary, AMCTO has kind of given everyone an idea of what a strong mayor system looks like and what they call a weak mayor system, which is the way it used to be. So now the head of council has more power and authority than other members of council. They can make independent decisions in some areas, again, as long as it's supporting those provincial priorities. They have some authority over administrative matters, and they can veto bylaws. So it changes the way a lot of your processes work. So for the procedural bylaw, I have a red line version that kind of just notes where we've had to take out that the mayor is the same as everyone else because they're not anymore, and we've added that they have special duties, and then kind of put things in about vetoing powers. Another thing the mayor has to do is they are obligated to present a budget, so it's their responsibility. They can forfeit this if they wait till February 1st. They can direct staff. They can present their own budget by directing staff and then telling staff what they want in that budget, and then we can kind of proceed the way we have been. So there's ways to work with it, but the way we have worded about our budget meetings in here doesn't work anymore. And then just kind of giving some notations about veto powers as well. I put that in there. So that's the bylaw updates. For the procedural bylaw, you have to say the meeting before that you're bringing procedural bylaw updates. So that's why it's on here. And let me know if you have any questions. If not, I'll read the resolution.
Question? We're going to hear more about this.
Yeah, you'll hear more. This is just a procedural update.
Okay, I guess we're ready.
Okay, be it resolved that as per section 22 of the procedural bylaw, council gives official notice of the proposed bylaw amendments that will incorporate the new mayoral duties and responsibilities in accordance with part 6.1 of the Municipal Act, and further directs that the bylaw be brought forward for adoption at the June 24th, 2025 meeting of council.
Okay, moving second. Gary and Pat, all in favor? Thank you.
Next one is,
Staff council.
yeah, so staff council relation needed some notations in there because it was very firm that, you know, all councilors don't have administrative abilities, which the mayor does. All council, you know, council can only give direction to staff as a whole. The mayor can give some direction to staff directly now. So there's just certain things where we've just made notation that there are some exceptions to what we've noted in the staff council relations. Let me know if you have any questions.
No, I don't think so. That's pretty straightforward.
Okay, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-51, being a bylaw to adopt policy number 52, staff council relations, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carm and Barry, all in favor? Carry. Council vacancy policy.
So this one needed to be updated. In our previous version of the council vacancy policy, we established that if it's an election year, you immediately go to appointment for all members of council. With the new mayor powers, the vacancy for a mayor occurs before March 31st of the election year. You have to do a by-election. And then if it occurs after, you can do by appointment. But it also makes notation that if a mayor is appointed during election year, they don't have strong mayor powers. So I put that in there too. It's not the job of this policy to mention that, but I want to make sure it's mentioned. So basically for everyone else on council, January 1st is the cutoff for when, you know, we have to we're going to do an appointment. We're not going to consider by election, but for mayor, we're following the legislation. So that's why this one got updated.
Straightforward too. Resolution.
Be it resolved that council adopts policy number 68, council vacancy policy as amended.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried, thank you.
Can we take a break before we go into planning?
Do we? Okay.
Thank you.
Break for 10 minutes. Lori?
You're not muted, Nancy, just so you know. You haven't said anything yet, but I just want to let you know.
Can't smoke in there, can you? Okay. Okay, Jeff?
Lori, the
Yes, thank
camera's,
you.
sorry, before you get going, Jeff. Lori, the camera's focused on you. I don't know if it's not a big deal when we just get reporting, but I just want to warn you that it's looking at you in City Council.
Lori's like, no, thank you.
Would you like me to proceed?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So item 9A is a request from Kellett Halberton Properties. This is to renew a license of occupation for a gate located on a road allowance between the geographic township of Dysart and Guilford. Subject to any questions from council, staff seek direction from council regarding the terms of this license, but do recommend approval of the bylaw. Do you have any questions?
We got lots of questions, I
Yeah,
think, Jeff.
we do.
What, I don't think we're in position to, or you're in position to answer them all. So, what I suggest is we defer it again. Unfortunately, this is, I don't know how many times we deferred it, but it's been a few times. But this time, we're gonna try to have an on-site meeting with all parties involved. Maybe we can get a surveyor of some sort out there to help us, establish stuff a little bit, not actually do a survey, but help us pinpoint where the posts and stuff are right now. And then we'll go from there. But, my recommendation would be to defer it at this point, again, fortunately.
Well, we'll never get this resolved until we get the survey determined where exactly it is, and then that'll put it to bed. But we gotta get a procedure on that. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I can't see you, so I just I'm going to raise my hand. But council might want to consider maybe a shorter term on a license of occupation. And the reason being is because this infrastructure is on municipal property, once we are in a license of occupation, the applicant is required to provide insurance and liability coverage should anything happen on municipal property. It's something you could shorten the term while other options are being explored. But I just wanted to throw that out there because right now this expires at the end of May, and as of that time, there'll be no liability coverage.
The road goes nowhere that the gate's on anyways. Open the gate. It wouldn't make any difference. Not worried about liability, have the gate opened. Goes nowhere.
Does it open that, if you open the gate, is it liability, somebody trespasses or whatever? I guess that's anywhere, but anyway.
You can go 10 feet down the road and walk in the bush in the same direction. Like if, you know what I mean? Like it's, if we went and seen it, you would understand it. This is a waste of everyone's time, unfortunately. Got to get it surveyed, get it opened up.
So
and then that's undone forever then.
if it terminates in the end of May, then that gives us what, 3-4 days? So should we extend it for a year till we get?
No.
Okay.
No.
What do you think?
By doing it for a month, are we setting any sort of precedence that, you know, we've agreed to something that we shouldn't have, or should we wait till we get some legal opinion or some survey opinion? I know we started on this last year and it's gone nowhere. And the same as the Eagle Lake Road, we got to get it back on here because it's already been surveyed. We got to get it put to bed.
Okay, well, let's extend it maybe 2 months or something.
I don't,
Do we have to extend it?
he's liable to cancel it. He likely will cancel the insurance. Why wouldn't he? He
Well,
hasn't got a license.
but Murray, if you went up and looked at it, you can, 100 feet down the road, there's a log landing, you can go to the bush the same way. So it's not like there's no destination.
No.
At this point, when we get it opened up, then yes, then, you know, if we with the public want to use the road, then, but right now there's nowhere to go.
Is this gate on the Peterson?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is council's thought that a surveyor would go out there and try to identify where the Peterson's located just to confirm, or?
Well, I think we're the idea, like, if he could even go out and show us so that we think we know where all the stakes are, but it's a little bit confusing when you get out there. So I'd like to see somebody go out and say, okay, this is the exact the old Eagle Lake Road, if that's what we're gonna call it, and the corner of the Peterson. And then we can look at it and say, okay. And I think there's a little, we're not sure who owns what really at this point. Like there's some confusion as who owns what's municipality and what isn't. So I think a surveyor would be able to help us out with that. That's all on site.
So when are we going to do that?
I can get that organized. I've already started to talk to some of the people that might be involved. And Jeff, you're interested in being involved, right? Coming out to when we put together the people that are involved here. But I think the most important thing is that what's our legal part? What's our commitment to Mr. Kellett and in regard to extending this for you know, a day or a month or 2 months? Or I know you're talking about insurance and everything like that, but like I'd like to see us move on this, like Barry says and Carm says, sooner than later. Than like it's been dragging on, and it seems like the big stumbling block all the time is we don't have like proper survey telling us this is exactly where it is and this is where it goes. So I'd like to see us sometime here in the next let's say a month or less. We'll get the players together and try to resolve this. So, but do we need to extend that license for a month or 2 months or something, Jeff, or what's the deal? Or does it matter?
Yeah. Yeah, to answer the first part, I'm happy to attend if it helps with this process. In terms of extending it, it's at council's sole discretion whether to issue a license. The infrastructure exists. The reason I recommended that is because it's quite possible his insurance policy lapses when that expires on May 31st. It's possible it doesn't. But if that were the case, that it did expire, then the municipality would be in a liable position. But if council intends on moving forward quickly with this, it may not matter.
We're going to be in the same liability position when we open the road as we will be if he doesn't have a licensed occupation. Is that correct?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, so if we don't give him a licensed occupation, we're going to be in the same liability concerns as if when we open the road up, correct?
I think the
I don't know
gate is the gate the issue. So is the gate always closed? That's my question.
Yeah.
So could council ask that the gate be open until we figure this out?
I don't see why we couldn't.
Jeff, I'm just thinking, if you're not extending the license of occupation and we're trying to figure out what's going on in the area, it's a gate located on municipal land. So couldn't the municipality say, please leave the gate open for now? We're just trying to figure out what's going on in that area. Or is that going to cause an issue that I'm not aware of? I'm just trying to think of something that would work in the meantime.
I can certainly relay that message if that's what council would like. I'm not sure if it would cause an issue. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Probably councilors more involved than I am behind the scenes that would know.
Is that going to affect the insurance? With the gate open and he doesn't have the insurance or license of occupation is expired? Is that good?
So obviously he's admitted that the gate's on our property or he wouldn't need a licensed occupation. Is that correct, Jeff?
Well, there's a survey attached to this report that shows the gate is on our property. So and that survey does show the location of the Peterson and of the old Halliburton Eagle Lake Road, all at this intersection.
So if that's the case, then if the gate's on our property, then municipality's insured and everything else for it. So to me, he opens it up until we get this sorted out and it's on our property anyway. So if it doesn't throw gas on the fire.
It's going to throw gas in the fire.
Awesome.
And maybe some napalm.
Jeez.
The other option is not to defer right now, but to get a meeting pretty quickly to sort things out in the area. So sorry, to defer right now, which is what council wants. And then to have this meeting on site, possibly bring a surveyor, say how much work would it be to locate the stakes in this area?
Left side of the gate, Andrew? Yeah. Yeah, you can see the stakes.
The Peterson Road's a bit complicated in areas because it's such a historical road, so it's hard to identify where it's located.
But where the gate is, the stakes are still there. Yeah, they're not that old. Yes, that's correct.
So just
And the survey does show the Peterson on it.
Which is nice. That's ideal.
Let's defer it for a month.
Yeah, let's defer it for a month and let's get somebody there and nail us down. I'll go too. I don't mind. Whatever we can do to get this moving forward.
Yeah.
Snowmobile club needs it.
Great for everybody. if we
Town
can
needs to get
get
this
through
sorted
this
out,
here.
so if we can keep our snowmobile clubs, and the ATV club would love to use it. So we gotta get this moving forward.
Sounds good.
Well, Walt, you're a good organizer then?
Yeah, no problem at all. I'll get on that right away. So
Okay,
for sure.
so resolution then to defer. Now,
Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-46, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a license of occupation agreement with Kellett Halliburton Properties Limited, be deferred.
okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Pat, all in favor? Well, so we should, the old Eagle Lake Road needs sorted out too, right? Is that an issue with Kellett? No.
No.
With the other people.
That's the other.
Yeah.
But Jeff says he's got all that stuff on file. He's just got to designate the classification of the road. Is that not what you told me, Jeff?
Well, it's got a bit more to it than that, and I'm working on bringing a report back to council on that. And it will be proceeding and closed. I'm hoping the municipal solicitor can come forward and explain the situation to council.
That doesn't sound like it's clear cut. No. Oh, boy.
Well, we gotta get them both sorted out.
Yeah, we
Like
do.
ASAP.
One's as important as the other.
That's right, because they're heritage roads. We can't lose them.
Yeah. Okay. Mallory, resolution?
I did that, and I think we're just moving on to the next item now.
Oh, okay, we could, I guess. I just like keep going back to it because we've been doing it for 2 years. Kind of part of the system. Yeah. Okay, Lands of Walker.
Yeah, so 9B is a road closing bylaw and deeming bylaw for the lands of Walker on Dean Court. Due to comments received from the neighboring property owner, council directed staff to obtain a legal opinion regarding the status of the 20-foot lane. Based on the legal opinion, which is attached to the report, and it confirms that the applicant owns that 20-foot lane, staff recommend approval of the bylaws.
Okay.
This one right here.
Resolution, Mallory?
Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-47, being a bylaw to close and stop up the 20-foot wide lane, Plan 525, and stop up and close and convey part of the road allowance for Dean Court on Plan 525, adjacent to Part Lot 19, Concession 7 in the geographic township of Dysart, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signing the corporate seal attached thereto. And further, be it resolved that bylaw 2025-48, which is a bylaw to deem Lot 6 and the 20-foot wide lane on Plan 525 in the township of Dysart not to be within the plan of subdivision for the purpose of subsection 3 of the Planning Act. To be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, the corporate seal attached thereto. This bylaw is intended to allow Lot 6 in the 20-foot lane, registered Plan 525, to merge with the road allowance for Dean Court on Plan 525, which has been closed and conveyed pursuant to bylaw 2025-47.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Yeah, 9C is a bylaw to close and convey the shore road allowance in front of the lands of Pavolo on Drag Lake. It's pretty straightforward and staff recommend approval of the bylaw.
Yeah, it is straightforward, I think. Okay, resolution, Mallory.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-49, being a bylaw to stop up, close, and convey a portion of the original shore road allowance in front of Lot 9, Concession 7 in the geographic township of Dudley, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Move and seconder. Tammy and Barry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Yeah, 9D is a joint application by Norris and Bleasdale to close and convey a portion of the road allowance for True North Road and part of a 1-foot reserve on Plan 447 in exchange for a turning circle, which would become part of the municipal road system. They've also requested to purchase the shore road allowance in front of their respective properties. If council recalls, this request is related to a consent application, which would process some lot additions. Mr. Morgan, who is the agent for this file, has requested a 1-month deferral to consider and respond to comments provided by the neighboring property owner. Therefore, staff recommend deferral of this bylaw, and it should come back next month.
Okay, resolution, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council defers bylaw 2025-50 to stop up, close, and convey part of the original shore road allowance in front of lot 7 concession 10, part of the road allowance for Cowling Drive, and convey said road allowance for Cowling Drive and part of the 1-foot reserve plan 447 in exchange for a turning circle in part lot 6 concession 10 in the geographic township of Dudley.
Okay. Mover and seconder? Walt and Barry. All in favor? Nancy Bowen? Good. Okay. Okay, next.
Yeah, 9E is another application by Mr. Tansey and Miss McKay to purchase a portion of the original road allowance adjacent to their property on the north side of Little Redstone Lake. So their driveway goes directly through the parcel of land which they wish to purchase, and that's the reason they want to purchase it. The subject road allowance is vacant other than that driveway. Staff recommend that council approve this application for processing.
Okay. Mallory, sounds good.
Be it resolved that council approves for processing application L07-RO-2025-006 by Tansey and McKay to purchase a portion of the original road allowance described as Part 2 on Plan 19R-9292 adjacent to their property in Part Lot 21, Concession 1 and Part 1 on Plan 19R-9292 in the geographic township of Havelock. These lands are declared surplus.
Mover and seconder? Carm and Barry. All in favor? Okay, next.
Yeah, moving along. 9F is an application made by Miss Henderson Whaley to purchase the shore road allowance in front of her property on Halliburton Lake. There are some compliance issues, and subject to the proposed conditions which address those compliance issues, staff recommend that council approve this application for processing.
So they've agreed to that?
I don't believe they've agreed to this at this point. I would have to check with staff just to see if there's been comments related to the recommendation.
It won't go anywhere until they do anyway, so. Okay.
That's correct. The way it's worded is that the conditions form part of the approval. So they have to satisfy the conditions before they can proceed with this application.
Okay. Resolution in Miller?
Be it resolved that council approves for processing an application L07-RO-2025-010 by Henderson Whaley to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Halliburton Lake in front of Lot 12, Concession 3 in the geographic township of Harbour. Pursuant to section 3.2.7 of the Dysart official plan, the hot tub shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. The shoreline patio shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. The shoreline shall be repaired to a natural state using native vegetation. The application shall submit a planting plan to the satisfaction of the municipality. These lands are declared surplus. And further, that council directs the bylaw enforcement department to review the attached deck for a building permit and the sunroom for compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, mover and seconder? Tammy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
I believe we're on 9G. This is an application from Pryor and Thurston to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance adjacent to their property on Little Kinesis Lake, or sorry, on just Big Kinesis Lake. Again, there are a few compliance issues and subject to conditions to rectify those. Staff recommend that council approve the application for processing.
Okay. Same deal. Valerie?
This one's a little bit different. These compliance issues are not on the shore road allowance, so the recommended condition is that bylaw enforcement review those compliance issues. So this application can continue to proceed while they're working on these compliance issues in a separate matter.
Be it resolved that council approves for processing application L07-RO-2025-007 by Pryor and Thurston to purchase a portion of the original shore road allowance in front of Lot 6, Concession 3, in the geographic township of Havelock. These lands are declared surplus. And further, that council directs the bylaw enforcement department to review the location of the frame sunroom, attached deck, hot tub, and play structure for compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Mover and seconder. Carmen, Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Next, 2173897 Ontario Incorporated has made an application to purchase the shore road allowance adjacent to their property on Bitter Lake. Again, similar to the previous files, there's conditions recommended to address the zoning compliance issues. And subject to those conditions, staff recommend council approve the application for processing.
Okay. All right.
Be it resolved that council approves for processing an application L07-RO-2024-025 by 2173897 Ontario Incorporated to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Bitter Lake in front of Lot 16 and 17, Concession 10 in the geographic township of Guilford. Pursuant to section 3.2.7 of the official plan, the private cabin/frame shed and roof canoe rack shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. These lands are declared surplus. And further, that council directs the bylaw enforcement department to review the total number of accessory structures for compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Canoe rack, gotta move that too, eh? Okay.
They can just remove the roof off of the canoe rack, just to clarify.
Okay. Okay. Have you read that resolution?
I read it. Yeah, we just need mover and seconder.
I heard that. Mover and seconder here. Walt and Pat. All in favor? Okay, next.
We are on. So the Nyman Family Holdings has made an application to purchase the shore road allowance in front of their property on Canisius Lake. There has been extensive site alteration to the shoreline area on this property, which consists of the removal of most of the vegetation and construction of retaining walls and cement patios. The building department has issued a work order for these infractions. As required by that work order, the applicant has submitted a landscape plan to revegetate and restore that shoreline. Staff recommend that this application actually be deferred until the applicant has completed that renaturalization process. But if council has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Jeff, was the rehabilitation or whatever, did it include leaving the retaining wall there or taking it out?
It included leaving the retaining walls there, but where there was cement and gravel, they were going to replace that with vegetation.
Okay. Okay, Mallory.
Okay, be it resolved that council defers for processing application L07-RO-2025-008 to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Canisius Lake in front of Lot 15, Concession 4 in the geographic township of Havelock. These lands are within 30 meters of the high water mark and shall be restored to a natural state using native vegetation. And further, that council directs that the bylaw enforcement department review the cement patio, retaining wall, and hot tub for compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt. And Carm, all in favor? Questions? Do you have some questions there, guys? I don't know, we don't want to rush you here. Okay, we passed that. Now the next is the questionnaire that you put out, Jeff, which is a good one. On the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw structures.
Yeah, and this report's just for information purposes only, and it's just to bring awareness to that public survey, which is located on the municipal website. It opened on May 15th, and it will be available for response until June 15th. So we're hoping the word gets out, and we can get as much feedback as we can.
Yeah, good luck making a decision on that. Anyway, I think there's, how many, you say there's over 400 already?
Yeah, I checked this morning, and there was almost 420 responses. So, yep, lots of interest.
Yeah, good. All right.
I'll read the resolution. Be resolved that council receive the staff report dated May 27th, 2025, updating on the status of the proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendments, which would permit structures in the minimum water setback.
Mover and seconder. Pat and all in favor.
Sorry, Murray, who was the seconder? I got Pat and
Walt.
Walt. Perfect.
Okay. Zoning bylaw amendment for short-term rentals.
Yes, thank you. So at the council meeting in March, council directed staff to come back with a proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw that would permit additional dwelling units to be used as short-term rentals. Staff have reviewed hundreds of pages of policy on this as outlined in the report. I've looked at the provincial planning statement, the county official plan, Dysart official plan, the strong mayor powers bill, as well as the laws that originally permitted additional dwelling units as of right. So the planning policy framework is pretty consistent in this response to address the housing crisis, specifically to support the creation of these additional dwelling units as a tool to create 1.5 million homes by 2031. In staff's opinion, the proposed amendment will remove housing options for our community. And because of that, and because this proposal does not really comply with the priorities or the provincial policy, staff recommend that this be withdrawn. But I'm happy to answer any questions council may have. It may not be a popular recommendation.
Very unpopular, Jeff. I'm disappointed. I'm kidding. No, again, for me, everybody knows my position on this in regards to, people using their own lands and their own houses to rent out and generate income and everything else. Like I've been in the rental business for quite some time, and the market for rentals right now is a tough one to be in for everybody. And to me, a roof over somebody's head, whether temporary or a week or 10 weeks or 2 years is a roof right now. So I do feel that even though all these other policies are saying they want to build 1 million homes, they've been saying that for 5 years, and I think we're up to 10. But anyway, that's my exaggerated opinion. But anyhow, I'm all for that. And I do have constituents in town that do have people that come up for Sir Sandford Fleming College, whatever, they're just passing through town on that note. And the hotel reserve of rooms seems to be getting smaller as time moves on. So anyways, I'm in full support of changing this, to reflect people to be able to rent those out on a weekly basis. Anyhow, it's my opinion.
Okay. What's everybody else saying?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with that because I think that people forget that we're in tourism and we do have the school here and a lot of other things. And I completely agree with Pat.
Yeah, I agree with Pat too, because if you don't rent it this way, they're not going to rent it at all because it's so hard to get bad tenants out. So people are they're not interested in renting. So we need something. And like Pat said, there's no more hotels and motels and resorts and stuff that's dwindling. So we got to do something different.
Okay. Gary?
Yeah, I'm fine with renting them out. I agree. We need places for people to stay, and it's limited.
Yeah, I have no problem either.
Okay,
Sounds like common sense.
okay, so we need to change that
Nancy.
resolution.
Nancy?
Nancy, what do you think?
Well, we made the decision, I believe, that we weren't going to allow the accessory dwelling units to be used as short-term rentals. Was that not the point of allowing the additional dwelling units on lots and stuff to create housing, like whether it be for family members or whatever? Was that not our intent when we did this bylaw not that long ago?
That was the advertised intent and what we told the public at the time, yes.
So I'm still kind of in the agreement that if somebody's going to, they've got an adequate sized lot with adequate water and sewage capacity, and they want to build an accessory dwelling unit, it should be for long term. That's my opinion, because there's not enough long term, opportunity for people that work here and live here. It's nice to have space for visitors, but what about the people that are here that are in the community that don't have housing?
I think that the person that owns the secondary dwelling, they have every right to make it long term. So why not give them the option? Because lots of people already know that dealing with the long-term renters is not a good idea. But if somebody wants to risk it, that's fine with them. They should be able to decide.
I agree in having the option to do an either or, and I think that's total entitlement of the property owner.
Jeff has a comment, Murray.
Yeah, okay.
And it was just a suggestion or an option I wanted to put to council's attention was, instead of a blanket policy that would permit them across the board, it could be site-specific amendments. So applicants who wish to do this could come forward and try and apply for a zoning amendment just for their specific property, as opposed to a blanket amendment. So I just wanted to put that out as an option.
I think that, how long will that process take, Joe?
The zoning process usually takes 3 or 4 months at minimum, and depending on the complexities and the response of applicants, it's can go on a long time. But if it's a simple application, 3 or 4 months.
I'd like to keep it as clean as we can and just make it a blanket deal, and that's again the individual's choice. It's my own opinion.
Jeff, can you tell council who would be able to appeal this zoning bylaw amendment? Because it's weird. It's been changed now. Like, we can't have third-party appeals, right? But if the municipality did, just so they know what they're getting into, because it won't be a popular zoning bylaw amendment in terms of it goes against provincial policy. So can we just caution them on what we might get into with an OLT appeal?
Yeah, and I would have to go and look up who exactly qualifies in the Planning Act as a specified person. I don't know if that off the top of my head, but because we are going, the decision would go against provincial policy. Council could be opening themselves up to an appeal. Yeah, that's the long and short of it.
Just something to keep in mind. It's not just, okay, we change it and we're fine. It could be a lengthy appeal that we ultimately lose because it's difficult, especially when staff are recommending against it based on policy.
I have another question for Jeff. If we made it site specific for like a zoning or bylaw zoning amendment to build an accessory dwelling unit, and then your plan is to use it for short-term rental at that time, with the short-term rental that would flag in the system at the same time, correct? If that's the intent.
Yeah, it would be a site-specific zoning. So I don't know if we'd specifically say that it would be an additional dwelling unit on the property that would be used as a short-term rental. We could massage it as to some sort of tourist commercial type of accessory use. I don't know how we'd make it work so that it complied with provincial policy, but there are ways to do it.
Guess I'm thinking too that a year ago we didn't even have these, right? Yeah. So we've opened up some of these for long-term rental because people are going to build them for their parents or their family or something. So we've gone from 0 to whatever this other number is going to be. Sure, there'll be some short-term rentals in it, but there's also going to be a lot of long-term ones too, I think. So I think that's, yeah, either or.
I think staff's concern comes from it is much more lucrative and I think preferable to go the short-term route. So I think most people that had these would not keep them open for long-term housing options for the community, for the workers, for the families. So that's where our recommendation's coming from. But if council wants us to come back with a bylaw, we can.
Bill, I shouldn't let, but if you're quick, I'll let you have the one word. Oh God, you're not coming up the front.
Council, I am in that position. 30 years ago, we built our house beside the cottage. Since the family wouldn't be using the cottage most of the summer, we rent it. Now, we've been renting it for 30 years. Now, you're talking about maybe new buildings, fine. But we're on 4.5 acres. So we're not interfering with the neighbors. We're not interfering with anything else. And is there anything wrong with having the owner beside a cottage? At least you can keep an eye on what the people are doing. And if these people step out of line in our cottage, they're going to hear about it in a hurry.
Yeah.
Now, we have, in the past, we've had to speak to people and tell them, keep it down, don't annoy the neighbors. And I will have to say, the only complaint that I've had is one of my tenants complaining about a neighbor. So, but I can't understand why you would object to a short-term rental next to the owner. Thank you.
Well, if we pass it, we know we could be challenged on it, so. And
Jeff, did you have a comment?
Well, I just wanted to respond to those comments that we weren't really speaking of it in the sense of going against a short-term rental and next to an owner. We were looking at it from the other lens of protecting additional dwelling units for long-term housing and not looking at the short-term rental component of it.
And Jeff, when additional dwelling units were starting to be pushed by the province, the intention was that they would be more housing. So that I think this is what we're like, additional dwelling units. We didn't think this up. This was something the province was pushing down to municipalities and saying, you need to allow additional dwelling units so more long-term housing can be in place in your communities because no one can find a place to live. So that's where that legislation came from to begin with, which is why, again, there's probably staff that would love to have an ADU with an STR in it. You can make some great money. Like, this isn't our personal opinion. This is us warning you that it goes against provincial policy and you're perfectly within your right to continue, but it might end up in an appeal process. So, and that's all that we're warning council about, just the reality of the situation we're in.
I just have one more point. If people have an ADU and they use it for short-term rental, if it's on their property, so what is the difference? Why are we not allowing people like Mr. Beatty there and several others in the community that I know that have a separate small place or separate entity that they use for short-term rental and they can't get a license because they live at the property? So you're saying, yeah, okay, build an ADU and you can use it for short-term rental, but you can't have a short-term rental license because you can't live on the property. So you're going to have that.
I think that has to be massaged too. And again, I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill for the staff either on that note, but we just introduced this not long ago. So again, and several other topics we talked about today, you introduce it, see what the flaws are in it, and you massage it and carry on with it. Because we're getting, again, as time moves on here with these short-term rentals and everything, that things are surfacing. And we massage it to make it great for everybody on that note. So I say we run the ball and see what the province says, because I will speak from personal experience. They're generating, in terms of them generating housing, is got a flat tire. And it has been since they started talking about it in terms of getting houses built and in terms of providing a good structure for a rental portfolio for anybody right now is a train wreck on that note. So if people can make money and it increases tourism in the area, and again, it's the own person's civil liberties of their own property to do what they want within reason, then to me, we give it to them to decide whether they want to do it short term or long term. But anyway.
Well, I could see where you were sitting in Toronto, you'd say, okay, Tammy's got a nice house in Harcourt. She built a second resident beside it. They're thinking that would be for permanent rent, not for short-term rentals. That's where they're coming from.
we're saying here, Murray, is that the occupant lives on site, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Where you're saying that the person would buy the house, is that what you're saying? The person would buy a house with addition, and rent them both?
Yeah.
Well, if we put it in there that it has to be a residential, you have to live there.
Yeah.
Then that would prevent what you're saying, would it not?
Yeah. Could, yeah. Yeah, it should. Anyway, we're ready to have a vote on it. I guess we have a different kind of resolution.
So I can read a resolution that council directs staff to proceed with the file instead, and I'll read that. Be it resolved, the council directs staff to proceed with file number D14-ZB-2025-006, a municipally led zoning bylaw amendment to permit additional dwelling units, ADUs, to be used as short-term rentals.
Okay. Mover and second. All in favor? Okay, let's now, next is Paul, I believe.
Yep, that's correct. This one is for the execution of a severance agreement for Harbor Holdings, which is on Peninsula Road on Grass Lake. So speaking of residential units, this is sort of one of the last conditions for the severance proposal for the creation of the lots. The proposal of the severance agreement is to formally notify the current and future owners of the subject properties of the conditions and requirements for development. This agreement ensures that all necessary planning, environmental, and site-specific considerations are adhered to in accordance with the municipal and provincial policies. Specifically, the severance agreement will provide notice that certain lots may be subject to site plan control, and the environmental impact and the wetland site assessment has been conducted, outlining recommendations, mitigation potentials, and so on for the lots. And furthermore, the consent agreement will address all planning matters related to proposed lots, including but not limited to the implementation of the recommendations of the environmental reports, establishing any necessary restrictions, mitigation measures as outlined in the reports and studies, and any additional planning regulation requirements imposed by the municipality. There are no circulation requirements for a severance agreement, and staff recommend that council approve the bylaw 2025-45, which is a bylaw to authorize the execution of the severance agreement with the owner of the subject property.
Murray, we can't hear you. I don't know if you're close to your mic. Actually, Chris, can you mute your mic? Because it's very loud for some reason. Okay, Murray, can you talk again?
Sure.
Yep, you're good now. I don't know what's going on. So go ahead.
Okay, I said Paul's here if we need him, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But up to Paul. Yeah. Yeah. So we can have the resolution, Mallory?
Okay. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-45, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a severance agreement for the lands of Harbor Holdings Limited, located in part lots 9 and 10, concession 8, parts 1 to 5 on plan 19R 10432 in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart at all, be read a first, second, and third time, pass, sign, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Tammy and Carm, all in favor? Okay, do the committees and then we'll go into closed session. Harcourt, anything from Harcourt?
Nope, I haven't had a meeting.
Anything from West Guilford?
Where going on?
Rails End, Nancy?
Rails End have a summer student who actually worked at the Sculpture Forest last year, so he's familiar with the town, and he's going to be helping them with the big art and craft festival. That's a big project. They became in the calendar of Ride to the Highlands. It's a ride map destination for some OHTO groups, and that's a good thing. It brings a lot of people to the area. They have a not to scale show that featured a lot of students, and that went over well. And Rails End was represented at 2 events at the school board showcase and the Highland School of the Art and Design Better Together, and How High's Got Talent. So they're quite busy in the community, and They've got a lot of events going on, and it's on their calendar events at www.railsandgallery.com.
Resolution, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the May 2025 Rails and Gallery and Arts Center report.
Favor? I should have a mover and seconder, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Barry and Carm. They were all in favor.
Perfect.
Okay, Halliburton BIA, Pat?
Marie, everything's kind of chugging along there with the BIA in regards to flower planters are coming and everything else. A couple things to talk about. There was conversations going on about moving the banners down the hydro poles a bit, so we don't have to get a bucket truck and everything like that, and so it's easily to move around. So I think Andrea and Rob are talking about that right now as to what height or the mechanics of that whole thing. So
you could do it off of
back of a truck
back
or
of the pickup.
yes, exactly. Another item, the BIA put out a questionnaire of the relevance of supporting the boat races. And it came back with 60%, 60+% that they didn't in regards to, I think the questionnaire had, did it increase your business? Was it loud? Was there parking? On and on it went. So anyway, I'm just bringing that to council's attention that they feel that next year they wouldn't support it on that regard. So anyway, the other items were that, you know, that it's kind of a fenced in area. They don't really shop in town. They barbecue, they're down there and do their thing and everything else. And it takes away from the parking and noise. But anyways, anyhow, I'm just here to bring that together.
You're the messenger.
Yes, exactly. So, number 3, we made mention in several conversations before about the hockey rink that Rotary donated down below. I don't know if that's something we vote on or something we talk about, but Rotary donated it. And Rotary, as I mentioned before, has indicated that they have a buyer that wants it. So the second we say whether we're interested in keeping it or we're not, they got a buyer. So anyway, I don't know how to.
One thing we were going to ask you about is just because we don't have a budget to actually create a parking lot this year, like we could have the boards torn down and have the empty space. But there's quite a cost that you're going to have to budget to actually create a parking lot out of that, which is likely in the next year. So we're wondering if we want to leave it in place for now to get another winter out of it and through the budget process, come up with a real plan. Rob can give you more information on that, but it's going to be fairly costly given our current costs for creating parking spaces.
You can't
I
drive
struggle
in
with that.
there where the thing is now?
I don't know where anyway,
I think you can.
I don't think it's going to be a problem on that. No, I don't see more than $60,000 being spent down there at all.
At this
Is there-
point, we don't have a budget though, for doing any work
Right.
on there. Just the discussion around removing the
I
ice rink. And winters are back and forth. Last winter, when it was decided to take down, we probably had the busiest winter for kids skating, but that was the weather conditions were suitable last year, but you never know.
my opinion is if they have a buyer now for it, and to me, my own mind, we're going to go ahead with parking down there, whether it's this year or next year's budget. But if they got a buyer for it now and they donated it, then to me, we get on.
And it should go back to them.
I
They put
agree.
it there.
Yeah,
So the funds go back to Rotary?
correct. It will. They will.
Well,
So you're saying that the buyer's gonna take it to like wherever?
They're gonna take it down the road and do the thing once it's sold. We don't have to take it apart.
Mhm. But I mean, why wouldn't we at least consider finding a new spot for it? And because it is something for our youth. So that's just my opinion. I think that selling it and getting rid of it, somebody getting their money back or whatever, I mean, this, what, I don't know how many kids, I don't have the exact number, use it or whatever, but it's there. I think it looks great, and I just wish we could It's great the Rotary Club donated it, appreciate that, but I agree with the parking, creating the parking, but I also agree with, our youth and if we could find a suitable spot for it, I'd like to just see us move it.
I think when it was created, we didn't have a skateboard park. And I think the weather patterns are changing. We went over that a couple times with different angles, whether it was even real or not to even think about it. And I do also think we did chat about putting it behind the library where bathrooms are there, water there, lights are there, hydros there. So in terms of the parks master plan that we've been massaging there.
We do have a Head Lake Park master plan that's right here on the side table.
Right. So
consult it too.
So to me, that if the public wants to put input into rebuilding it or what have you, then to me, that's totally fine. I just don't see the amount of usage that we would have had 10 years ago on that note. And we do need parking. I'm not trying to bulldoze a baseball diamond for parking spots, but again, if there's an alternative, if the public feels it's necessary and it's in the budget, then by all means we'll carry on.
We have looked in the past in terms of outdoor courts at using Orr's Pit because we don't need the hydro or anything to get started down there. There's nice flat areas as you go in. We could build soccer court or soccer fields. We could eventually build tennis if you wanted to. The problem with building any more in the park where it is over in Rotary is everything's sinking and moving nonstop, and it's not a stable enough surface over there to develop anything further over there that needs that stability. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a realistic place to put it.
Oh, Pat, your mic's off, just so you know.
That on purpose.
Oh, it did. Okay. Good to know.
I'm kidding. No. So anyways, anyhow, just add more to the conversation. So I think, well, if we're thinking about even moving it back behind, or we don't know if we're going to move it, let's keep a hold of it for a year or something. They'll sell it again, I'm sure, next year if it comes up, but let's keep it for a year, see if we can relocate it.
Well, let's track the use. I don't think it's used that much.
We don't know. Andrew may be able to answer that question better than any of us, but I don't know.
It's an after school thing, right? All the kids are in school. So unless you're in town after school or on the weekends, you're not seeing it. It's the same as the skate park. People think it's not used. And when I leave here every night, there's 20 kids out there. So it depends on the time you're observing stuff. And last year I did observe more, but again, it's climate related.
Yeah,
Some years you have great ice, some other years it sucks.
I agree. Because we don't have anything in the budget. So why not leave it up? At least for another year, that could track numbers, and it gives us a year to figure out where the best location is for it is, and that we might be able to budget some money with it.
Okay. Well, I still would tell them, though, if we do get rid of it, they should get it.
Problem, Murray. I'll just let Rotary know.
Yeah, okay.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, you're on again on the Harvest Halliburton.
Nothing to report there.
Kawartha Halliburton Source Protection. Nothing. Upper Trent Water System. Tammy?
Nothing.
Okay. Lead Park and committee members.
So I'll read the resolution for the minutes. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the minutes from the March 6, 2025 Glebe Park and Museum Committee as information.
Okay. Gary? Pat, all in favor?
And then I'll read the next one. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the minutes from the February 27, 2025 Cultural Resources Committee as information.
Seconder? There you go, Nancy and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so we're ready to go into closed.
Okay, I'll read that resolution. Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at 11 8:44 a.m. to discuss matters pursuant to Section 239, subsection 2 of the Municipal Act as amended pertaining to proposed disposition of land in the Township of Dysart, which is the County Road 121 property, and to discuss matters pursuant to Section 239, subsection 3.1 of the Municipal Act as amended for the purpose of educating or training members on the municipal bonusing and the strong mayor powers. Then I just need a mover and seconder for that.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Wall. All in favor?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, I have a resolution on it. There's nothing to report from both sessions.
No.
Okay, so we have a confirming bylaw.
Yeah. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-52, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on May 27, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Tammy. Okay.
Okay.
The adjournment.
Be it resolved the council adjourned its regular meeting held on May 27, 2025 at 2:45 p.m.
Need a mover and seconder. Nancy and Walt. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.